Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are completely deconstructing the mechanics of wealth. We're going to decode the invisible rules of wealth nobody teaches you. These are the hidden structural mechanics that literally separate the genuinely financially free from everyone else. For a long time, the real playbook has been kept pretty obscured, largely because society operates quite efficiently when most of us simply just keep consuming. Well, we are going to change that today. No jargon, just the exact blueprint. Let's unpack exactly how this all works.
Okay, let's dive into this. What if everything you've been taught about money is just completely backwards? Society gives us this very standard set of instructions, right? Get a degree, work your 40 hours a week, save your pennies, and hopefully you retire comfortably at 65. But here's the thing. That playbook wasn't actually designed to make you wealthy. Historically, it was designed back during the Industrial Revolution to create a reliable, predictable workforce. It's a system built to keep the gears turning, not to give you actual financial independence. The truth is, following this standard path is often just putting you on a treadmill that's cleverly disguised as a ladder.
So, we've all absorbed some very persistent money myths. Let's just rapidly tear these down. The first is that saving alone makes you rich. But in a world with constant inflation, hoarding cash under the mattress actually guarantees you're losing purchasing power over time. The second myth is that a high income equals wealth. We assume the corporate executive pulling in $500,000 a year hasn't made, but that is a highly dangerous assumption. And the third is probably the most insidious. Working harder is the only way to get ahead. Think about it for a second. If manual labor and sheer effort equaled wealth, a guy with a shovel working 12 hours a day would be a billionaire. Wealth isn't just about effort, it's about leverage. Believing these myths just traps us in a relentless rat race where we're constantly running but never actually arriving anywhere. Which brings us to a really fascinating paradox. Why does a massive paycheck still leave so many people completely broke? It's mathematically astonishing, but a massive percentage of people earning high six figures are literally still living paycheck to paycheck. How in the world does that happen? Well, it boils down to a trap called lifestyle creep. The absolute second the paycheck goes up, the lifestyle expands to swallow it whole. The modest apartment turns into a massive mortgage. That reliable sedan turns into a leased luxury SUV. The celebratory dinner becomes the daily standard. It's staggering because a high earner is often just a highly paid, highly stressed consumer. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the fundamental distinction we absolutely have to make between income and wealth. They are entirely different financial species. Income is a direct trade. You are trading your time for a paycheck. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. But the moment you stop working, the money completely stops flowing. Wealth, on the other hand, is built on assets that earn while you sleep. Income is just the seed, wealth is the orchard. The trap so many of us fall into is believing that a high income is the final destination. In reality, your income is merely a tool. It is literally just the shovel you use to dig out your financial freedom. So the crucial point is how we actually define wealth. It's the accumulation of ownership and assets that generate value completely independently of your daily labor. We have to completely strip away the Hollywood version of what being wealthy looks like. A driveway full of leased sports cars and a closet overflowing with designer clothes, that's a sign of high spending, not high wealth. True wealth is often completely silent. It's the diversified stock portfolio, the rental real estate, the intellectual property, or business systems working quietly in the background. It is machinery that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of whether you even decide to get out of bed in the morning. To understand why so few people actually achieve this state of silent independence, we have to look closely at the psychology of spending. We live in a hyper-consumer society, and our brains are literally wired for immediate dopamine hits. Every single time you tap your card or click buy now, you get a neurochemical rush. The add to cart button is essentially our modern-day slot machine. The life cycle of a dollar is tragically short simply because we are conditioned from childhood to believe that purchasing products is the fast track to status, comfort, and happiness. Society profits off consumerism, so the entire system is optimized to separate you from your money as quickly as possible. When you break down the typical spending focus for the average person, the imbalance is just glaring. The lion's share goes straight to immediate gratification. The daily gourmet coffees, the fast food, those impulse online subscriptions we forget we even have. The next biggest chunk, that feeds status symbols, the upgraded car payment, the brand name labels, and left at the very end is this tiny, almost invisible sliver dedicated to actual wealth building. When your money is allocated this way, earning just to spend keeps you exhausted. You're fueling an economic engine that benefits literally everyone except your future self. It's a pretty sobering reality to confront when you realize just how much of our financial behavior is programmed by external forces. But what if we flip the script from consuming to owning? What if we completely changed our financial DNA? This right here is the major paradigm shift. This is the exact moment where those invisible rules finally reveal themselves, and you stop playing the game society designed for you and start playing the game the wealthy have been playing for generations. And this brilliantly illustrates the core secret. Escaping the rat race doesn't require winning the lottery. It requires shifting your entire worldview from a consumption paradigm to an ownership paradigm. Consumption means buying things that lose value the absolute second you open the box or drive off the lot. Ownership means acquiring things that appreciate and create value over time. So instead of constantly buying the newest $1,000 smartphone every single year, you take that capital and you buy stock in the company manufacturing the phone. You stop being just a target demographic and you become an owner. That is the ultimate leverage point. Once you make that mental shift and become an owner, you unlock the ultimate cheat code for wealth building. The power of compounding. There's a reason it's often referred to as the eighth wonder of the world. The secret ingredient to true generational wealth isn't a hot stock tip or a sudden windfall from a startup. No, it is simply time combined with math. Compounding is the process where your money makes money, and then those newly generated dollars go out and recruit even more dollars to work for you. It's a relentless, self-feeding cycle of growth. Let's look at how this math actually plays out. When you plant a dollar on day one, the initial growth is agonizingly slow. It's almost boring to watch for the first few years, which is exactly why most people quit and just go right back to consuming. But as a decade passes, the momentum quietly builds. The interest starts earning its own interest. By year 30, that steady trajectory bends violently upward into explosive exponential growth. That single planted dollar has multiplied far beyond its original value. This is the real-world math of patience. It starts as a tiny snowball rolling down a hill, and decades later, it is transformed into an unstoppable avalanche of wealth. So the vital question we have to ask is, how do the financially independent leverage this exact math in their daily lives? How do we actually bridge the gap between this elegant mathematical theory and real everyday financial decision-making? Because, understanding compounding intellectually is one thing, but living it and executing on it is another entirely. The secret to bridging that gap lies completely in how they view their timeline. It all comes down to time horizons. Short-term thinking is an absolute obsession with the present, stressing over the next paycheck, planning for the weekend, seeking that immediate dopamine hit of a purchase today. Long-term thinking, however, plans for generational growth. When you stretch your timeline out by decades, choices that seem like a massive sacrifice today, like investing 20% of your income instead of splurging on a luxury item, become completely obvious and easy. You aren't depriving yourself at all. You are simply paying your future self first. Let's move to and see how this builds into the actionable decisions of the wealthy. We've mapped out the math and the psychology, but how do you actually walk this path starting today? Here is your immediate toolkit to ground these philosophical concepts into a reality you can act on right now. Step 1, adopt an ownership mindset. Before you swipe your card, pause and literally ask yourself, am I consuming right now or am I owning? Step 2, prioritize compounding assets. Automate your investments so a piece of every single paycheck builds your orchard in the background without you having to lift a finger. And step 3, think in decades, not days. Tune out the daily market noise, ignore the exhausting urge to keep up with the neighbors, and just play the long game. I want to leave you with this absolutely crucial final thought. Money follows rules. Once you understand them, your financial future can change forever. The mechanics of wealth have literally been hidden in plain sight, obscured by consumer psychology and myths actively designed to keep you spending. But now you know the invisible rules. The only question left is, if you project your current habits 30 years into the future, are you building an unstoppable avalanche of wealth, or are you just running faster on the treadmill? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.